Welcome everyone to the Jayme Rachel Show.
No.
So glad to have you with us
No.
on the NOIC Godcast. Oh, come on, you know it's true. I'm just a guest here. Anyhow, so we are back with our JOY series, Jesus Over You. So excited. Hope you all have enjoyed this series. So have you ever noticed that Christianity has become full of celebrities? Have you guys noticed that? Oh boy, this should be fun. So from bands to pastors to churches, ministries, movies, entertainment, Christianity has just become one of those glorified talent searches. It's funny, a lot of the Christian artists that are out now are from American Idol. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that, but there's a lot of them on Christian radio from American Idol. But even like that's the big times. Like even small little churches, we have our preachers that we kind of put above the rest. Yeah. Celebritize. Yes. Even churches, we celebritize. And so the other day I was listening to this conversation by a Christian leader, and they made this statement that in the church, we have made equivalents to secular things so that we don't feel bad about it. So we've got boy bands, and then there's Christian boy bands, right? We've got the same look, the same act, the same, virtually the same thing, one's just the Christian version. And so they might slip a Bible verse in here or there or try to make it, but it's the Christian version of the worldly thing. And so pastors and preachers everywhere have become focused on filling stadiums and earning book sales and gaining media attention. And just like any other motivational speaker, that's what they're all about, right? As authors. And so, the goal, most big name pastors, their goal's not necessarily sold out dedication to Jesus. Their goal is make a name for them and climb the ladder.
Find the numbers, get the numbers.
Yeah. And so again, we're taking what's secular and adding Christian to it. And so it's no secret that modern day Christianity has become nothing more than a ladder to climb. And yet maybe you're thinking that's just for the big name churches, right? I would never. Yes. I want you to really ask yourselves and be honest, earnestly. This is going to be fun. Let's put those seatbelts on. You're not buckled. You need to. Yeah, done.
We're driving apparently.
Oh, okay. This is embarrassing. I'm not even in the car. I'm in the middle. It's a two-passenger.
You're in the middle. You have to do the middle buckle.
I'm the middle guy.
Oh, you don't have this, so you're gonna go flying.
I have the.
It's gonna be awkward. Anyways,
in the backseat
so sorry. That was awkward. So I really want you guys to ask yourself this. This is where it hits home. If you were to go to church the rest of your life and you never again received a pat on the back, would you still be joyful? If no one ever again asked you how you were doing, if no one ever congratulated you, if not a single person ever said good job on your solo, or wow, that was a great message, or no one thanked you ever again for your labor, would you still have joy?
I think we have to think deeper into that because well, of course I don't want that. Right. You know what I mean? Like you got your halo on, you're like, well, no, it's not why I do this. But then if you deep down you think about if ever no one ever legitimately never said good job, never said look at you have a servant's heart. Oh no, not me. No,
I do not.
Yeah, exactly. So really think about that question. That's thinking never again.
Never again.
So maybe some of you, maybe that didn't phase you. Maybe some of you don't serve the Lord. I don't, you're not servants. You're like, I don't care if no one tells you, because I'm not a servant. Sorry,
no judgment here. There's nothing to give me thanks for.
But here's the lead balloon for everybody. What if you went to church and what if you never again enjoyed another church service?
Are you uncomfortable yet?
I am uncomfortable. So I'm not talking about the Lord's bailing on you, right?
No.
It's not that the Lord just fled.
You're talking about what your own personal wants.
Yeah, so exactly. So what if you never heard your favorite song ever played ever again? Or your favorite group, or your preference of music style, or your preference of, whatever it is you like in a service. Never again did that ever enter church service. Or what if you never heard your favorite preacher ever again? Or what if you never heard your type of preaching that you like? Never again. In fact, even worse, it'd be one thing to never hear it again, but what if the opposite were true forevermore? So for example, what if you like bluegrass Southern gospel music and you like loud loud preaching.
Mm-hmm.
But for the rest of your life, every single service you ever sat in, what if you only heard contemporary, repetitive praise and worship, music, and very reserved teaching style preaching? Would you still have joy?
I think that's hard to say. Like, honestly, I think that if you looked at yourself, you would never be able to continue to have joy in those things. I think we all have a transitional period in life where we find joy in things. But right off the bat, no. No one's going to be like, oh, yes. If I got nothing ever that I ever wanted ever again, I'll be good. No one's ever going to be that way.
Well, there's a reason you prefer those things too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I guess people were like, well, you know, I'm not going to hear those things, but like, I just get nothing out of that stuff. You know,
Yeah.
what
So,
I mean?
that brings us back to our point here. We're talking about joy. So not would you like it?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not asking
Yeah.
if you'd like it.
Yeah.
Would you say still yet with none of those things, I will have joy? Could you honestly say that your life would still have joy, your Christian walk would still have joy if everything you like about your Christian life
Yeah.
and walk and service was gone?
Mm-hmm.
That's no good. That's no good. That's no good at all.
I think that's where people start getting a little like, because
We're in it for us. Like,
Yeah.
we're in it for what we can get. And that's what I mean by like the big names, right?
Yeah.
They're serving the Lord for what they can get out of
Yeah.
it. And like, we're like, I would never. I don't write books.
Yes.
Right? I
Yeah.
don't fill stadiums.
yes.
But you do go to church for what you can get out of it.
Yeah.
And so if that were removed, would you still have joy in the Lord?
I think a good example of this type of thing is we grew up around a lot of preachers. A lot of preachers. And obviously not going to name any names or anything, but like we're like, oh, those are such great preachers. Those are the best people. Like they have to have the best personalities, best people. And we've watched them falter.
Sure.
And whether that be falter in a small way or falter in a way where they not even go to church anymore. And you put them on a pedestal and you're like, oh, well, that's them. Like, they're my favorite. And then all of a sudden it's just like.
And so apply that to what we're talking about, like not a person anymore, but your preference, what you want out of church. If you put that so high on a pedestal, what if there comes a day when that is taken away?
Yeah.
So for example, like maybe you're thinking, why would I could read some of your minds right now. I know exactly what you're thinking. You're thinking if that ever were gone, it wouldn't be church. And so that will never
Yeah.
be gone, or else
Yeah.
church is gone. I know that's what you're thinking. So for example, Lord forbid, America turns into the Chinese underground church next week.
Mhm.
We all go into hiding, and we must have church in a basement, in a cellar, quietly with 2 or 3 people.
Yep.
Do you know you can't have banjos? It's too loud. In fact, the preachers,
guards will hear them.
The guards will hear, and you can't have preaching that is loud and fiery.
Yeah, no.
The guards will hear you. And so,
Yeah.
in order to have church, the things that we're accustomed to, you can't take up an offering.
Yeah.
You know, prayer requests might not come after congregational singing, or the altar call might not come after the preaching.
Yeah.
All of what we call church and all of our preferences and all the things we want could literally be stripped away. Would that still be church?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Would you still have joy in that church? Why are we doing this thing? What is this for? We did the theme several years ago. White flag faith. We get asked this question quite a bit. What's your favorite thing we've ever done for camp? Personally, white flag faith has always been my favorite. I've liked not all of them.
No, I've not liked all of them. We may have wrote all of them, but we don't like all of them.
all of them. But white flag faith is always just so personal to me, and I feel like one of the reasons is that was really an outpouring of my life. That theme was really just if there were a message that I feel like I was put on earth for, it's listen, Christianity is about surrender. Yeah. And so that message, that theme really just resonated with me. But again, thinking, I think we just quoted this like 2 podcasts ago, but clear the stage, the lyrics of that.
Oh, yeah.
Clear the stage, set the sound and lights ablaze.
That's the measure you must take. No?
To crush the idol.
To crush the idols.
And what that's saying, and then jerk the pews and all the decorations too until the congregation's few and have revival. Tell your friends. Okay, you get the point. And the point of that song, and I can remember so well the first time I ever heard that song, was like, take church down to the bare minimum. Take church all the way down to the studs.
Yep.
To where all you're doing is what church is about, and that is giving glory and worship to Jesus and growing near to Jesus. Take it all the way down to the studs. Yep. If that were to happen in our lives, would we still have joy? Would we still have joy? Chew toy. Here it comes. Would you still have joy in church? Would you still have joy in your Christian walk?
I think if everybody answered that question absolutely honestly, it would be like, no.
Or we could say yes, and God's like, all right, let's try it.
Yeah, exactly. So do you really want to put that on you?
Be careful how you answer. Maybe just turn off the podcast now. Walk away slowly.
Lightning.
Right. I was in a class that I guess you called it a class. I don't know. I was in a session the other day, And the the teacher said this. He said, so often we come out of church. This is so great. I just love this guy so much. He was like, so often we come out of church and we're like, man, that was some great worship.
Mm-hmm.
The guy was like, do you think God would think so? It's like, I don't know that I've ever in my very short and young life ever had the thought, I wonder if God would think so. I wonder if God would think this was good worship.
Mm-hmm.
It's always about God, and we always say it's
Yeah.
about God, but I've never had the thought, did you enjoy this?
Yeah.
Did you get what you wanted out of this,
Well,
regardless of what I
And
wanted?
to be funny, like not to be funny, but to be like point blank is church is supposed to be that.
Yeah,
It's
that's
supposed to
what
be
it
for
is.
him.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's obviously it's for us to grow and to do like, but the act of worshiping is for him.
And here's a news flash. Again, you may want to turn this off. I pray you don't, but you may want to turn. Here's a news flash. Do you know what it's going to be for all of forever of eternity?
Mhm.
It's not going to be what you want.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not going to be your preference. It's not going to be your kind of music. It's not going to be your kind of preaching. It's not
Yeah.
going to be your order of service. All of eternity is going to come down to
Yep.
nothing more than giving pure glory to
Yeah.
God in the way He wants it to be.
Yeah.
Forever
Yeah.
and ever. And the next day.
Well, I
and the
remember-
next
and the
day.
next
And the next day.
Well, I remember thinking as a kid, and it's a maturity thing, obviously, but I remember thinking as a kid, because you're a kid, you're selfish, you want what you want, and it's like, I'm like, I don't want to die and go to heaven, because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I thought, like,
There is no mac and cheese up there.
there's no mac and cheese, there's no this,
No Dollar General.
There's no Dollar General. That was a later thing. That's a later thing. No, but like I remember thinking as a kid, I'm like, why do all these people really want to go? Because like we're just gonna sit there.
And
You know
the
what I
funny
mean?
thing is, like, I think there are going to be some mature, older adults who are going to be quite befuddled getting up there. Like, they're going to get up here like, oh,
Is this?
I've been waiting my life for this.
Yeah, yeah.
I get nothing I want. It's all
Yeah.
about him.
Yeah.
Right now, if I had the sound of it, like the last time was the blinky eyes. This one would be like the squeaky head.
Yeah.
Like that's what heaven is.
Yeah.
It's eternal glory, His will, His way for His.
And that's the whole thing is if you let go of yourself, that seems precious. That seems sweet. The older I get and the more that I grow closer to Jesus and understand who He actually is in my life, it's like, yeah, I want to go to heaven. I want to be able to do what He wants me to do for the rest of eternity. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So is our satisfaction with the service the end goal of church? Getting what I want, getting that feeling, getting that song, getting that
Mhm.
message, getting that type, that preference, just that chill down my spine, the tears. Is that my end goal for why I have joy in church services? Or is it His satisfaction? Are we worshiping ourselves or are we worshiping Him?
Yep.
And so I can feel the tension and the tempers just arising and burning. That means we're doing something good or bad. But this is the thing. We have made church, and especially serving the Lord, about us.
Mhm.
And there's a reason that Jesus warns us that anyone, it's so plain, so black and white what He says. He says, anyone that is fit, anyone who, do you guys remember the game? I don't know if it's a game. I think they did this at camp for the daycare. So where you have the shape holes,
Oh,
and
yeah,
only
yeah,
only the triangle shape goes through the triangle hole.
Yes.
The square shape. If you are fit for the hole that is heaven, the kingdom
Mhm.
of heaven, if you are fit for the kingdom of heaven, then you have to deny yourself.
Yeah.
You have to deny yourself, forsake everything that you think you need, everything that you want. And then after counting the cost, after crucifying the flesh and the preferences and the opinions and the wants, then you are fit for the kingdom of heaven. Then you can follow Jesus, but not before.
Yep.
And yet every church that I've ever been to is full of people before.
Yep.
Every church and every church I've ever been to is full of Christians who have not forsaken their preferences and their opinions and their desires and their wants and their lives. They've not crucified the flesh. And so that means we're Christians who are unfit
Yeah.
for the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah. Well, that makes me think. I was reading this week about the rich young ruler. That's kind of what my mind went to. But like, he knew the commandments. He obeyed those first commandments, and God was like, the commentary that mine had was like, Jesus saw him and wanted him to follow him. So he's like, this is what you have to do. And Jesus wanted him to
Yeah.
be with him. And he's like, can you just imagine being face to face with Jesus and him being like, just come
Begging
on.
you.
And you're just
Yeah.
like, no,
I'm in this
I
for
want
me.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want my stuff. I want what makes me comfortable, and choosing that over Jesus. And I mean, we're doing the exact same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's really the state most Christians live in. We are in life for ourselves. We're in church for ourselves. And the problem is there's no joy there.
Yeah.
And so the sobering reality is that church folks are unhappy, and they're certainly not experiencing joy because we have made church about ourselves. A couple weeks ago, Jayme said this: instead of having Jesus over us, we have us over us.
Yes.
And so instead of joy, we have you-yoy, or you. Jesus, no, us over us. Oh.
That's not a
Let's try this again. We have out. Instead of joy, we have out. That's actually really great. I love that. Someone put that on a t-shirt for me. Instead of joy, we have ow. You. Jesus. No. We have
no English.
Okay, this is going horribly wrong.
Us over
us over us.
Us over us. You over
us.
us.
Over us. Us over us. Because it's our us.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyhow.
We graduated high school at some point.
Anyways, so I've spent my entire life in church, and not only will most people fail to worship if their preferences aren't met, just a fact. Like let someone else sit in your seat once, or do the service backwards, right? Or bring in instruments they're not used to, or take away instruments they are used to, or if their preferences are met, 9 out of 10 Christians will not worship.
Yep.
But Christians also forfeit their joy. Like, not only will they not worship, they're mad. They're upset. They are grouchy and crotchety because their needs, their wants, their desires were not met.
Fet?
They're not fet. They're not fit for the kingdom of heaven.
I thought you said fat.
No, most Christians are fat, but we won't say that on the microphone. That would be rude. Oh, no. Okay, if they didn't turn us off before, they are ready now. Anyway, so... Folks,
we're here.
Have we forgotten what church was all really supposed to be about? It's never, ever, ever supposed to be about me. And so maybe what you need next service you go into, whatever day that is, maybe what you need is to say, Lord, would you actually on purpose take everything away that I want out of the service? You know what? Don't let them play this or sing this or say this. Don't let the service be this order. Make me uncomfortable to the point where I'm only focusing on you, the real reason I'm supposed to be here. It's never intended to be about us. It's not about our wishes or our wants. And the goal was never for us to be seen or heard or looked upon. We're never supposed to get what we want from serving the Lord. And because we serve the Lord for what we can get out of it, because we seek that pat on the back, because we want our ways, because we want our music and our preaching style and our preferences in order to suit our fancy, when we don't get it, we are taking joy and we're throwing it out the window, and it's gone. And it makes church all too often a smile stealer. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever gone through a season of your life? Have you ever gone through a season of your life where you're like, I don't want to go to church.
Yeah.
Don't want to be there. They call me fat. I don't want to go to church.
I've been in that phase, but I don't know if I've ever said it like that.
But church can become a smile stealer. Absolutely. The girls talked about smile stealers last week. They didn't know that. I titled it after they talked about it, but I was like, that's perfect.
He's the genius person.
I'm all about words.
Like the alliterations.
Yeah. So smile stealers, what they talked about last week, the things that you think you want, but they end up stealing your smile. They steal your joy. And so do you know church can be a smile stealer? Coming to a place that's about God and for God and steals your smile. Why? Because you've made it about you.
Yep.
You can only have joy in church when it's about Him. Anytime it's not about Him, you risk having your smile stolen.
Yep.
And so the problem is we've got it all backwards. In fact, we've forgotten that the joy-filled formula was never intended to be about us. So John chapter 3, we find John the Baptist this is one of my favorite verses in all the Bible. John the Baptist is being confronted, and Jesus has come on the scene, right? And Jesus' ministry starts to go this way. Jesus starts to become more known and more followed than John. In fact, John becomes overshadowed. Excuse me. The crowds start to dwindle. The disciples start to depart. Jesus' fame caught fire, and John's fame started to fail. And so these people come to John, and they're like, John, what do you think about this Jesus guy? He's stealing all your thunder. And listen to what John the Baptist says in response. John 3:28 and 30 says this. I am not the Christ, but that I am sent before him. This, my joy, therefore, is fulfilled. Listen, this is my favorite. He must increase, but I must decrease. Did you catch that formula?
Yeah.
Did you see how black and white that, like,
Yeah.
they can't, there's no words in front of them. Maybe we'll put that on the screen.
Yeah.
Do you see how black and white that formula is? What's the
Yeah.
formula? Joy fulfilled
Mhm.
is increase of Jesus, decrease of me.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus over us. The formula for filling joy is a decrease of self and an increase of Savior. More of him, less of me. More of what he wants, less of what I want.
Mm-hmm.
True joy comes when he is known and I'm invisible.
Mm-hmm.
When worship and singing and testifying and preaching, when living life is all about him and I'm no longer taken into consideration, then Jesus is over us and then my joy will be filled.
Mm-hmm.
John says, I must decrease. He must increase. That's the formula. Increase, decrease.
But notice it's not like he increases, I just stay the same.
right. You have to, yeah.
You have to decrease. There's no, I'm going to add Jesus to me.
Right.
It's I have to get rid of me in order for him to increase.
Yep. And so we can conclude
Mm-hmm.
that if you are lacking joy, if tomorrow morning she hits you with a water dog baseball bat,
Just random, you
Randomly.
know, like if
It
She
always
might.
is
hypothetically.
You drove 30 minutes to my house to do that?
I would
It's
believe
worth it, honestly.
They're still like, I still have no idea what they're talking about. If you find yourself without joy,
Mm-hmm.
today, tomorrow, maybe right now as you're listening, maybe we have made you very upset and you have no joy right now. If you find yourself without joy, if you find yourself enduring a begrudging church service, if you find yourself sluggish in your salvation, it can only mean one single thing. There's only one reason for that. He's not increasing, you are.
Yeah.
Whenever you're grouchy, whenever you are I shouldn't say whenever you're grouchy. Coffee sometimes and a lack thereof can make you grouchy.
Yes.
But whenever you don't have joy, whenever you're not just like, I love Jesus, I
Mhm.
love living for Jesus, I love his word, I love praying, I love the Christian life. Whenever you are lacking joy, the reason is you have increased
Mhm.
and Jesus has decreased.
Mm-hmm.
What a fun one today, guys. I feel like we should end with, I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart.
Where?
Down in my heart.
Where?
Down in my heart. I've got the joy, 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 joy. You gotta do the shoulders. Down in my heart.
Where?
You had one word, one line.
I had it.
Where?
Down in my heart to
Where?
stay.
Wrong one. I thought we were starting.
By
from
the
that
end of
side.
this series, we will figure it out.
No,
we
we
remember
won't.
the one word. That was fun. We should do that again.
That was not
what
good.
was that? That wasn't I've got the joy, was it?
No, that was Jesus over you.
Oh, yeah, that still went badly. I don't know.
That was a really bad one.
Anyways, well, thank y'all for enduring that with us. I don't know if you'd call it fun, but it was something. It
We
was
have
something.
nothing else to say.
Yeah, it was fun. So today's featured content is a song that we actually did at camp 2 years ago, 2 years
was-
ago.
well,
19, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is a song by Passion called More Like Jesus. Great song for today.
Mhm.
Today's considerable quote comes from John Knox, and he writes this: I sought neither preeminence, glory, nor riches. My honor was that Jesus Christ should reign. Well, friends, thanks so much for joining us today for number toad. I'm having a stroke right here on camera.
Call the bondulance.
The what? The coffins?
It's a meme.
I'm not going to survive this stroke.
Go
apparently.
ahead and get the hearse.
They're
I
mean.
said the bondulance, but it's a whole thing.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us for another episode of the NOIC Godcast. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.
I'm uncomfortable.